Welcome back to the Preppy podcast. Thank you all so much for listening and being here today. As always, I have a great interview ready for you. It is an interview with Cassie. She is the founder of Lucy Jane, a handbag company with interchangeable adornments inspired by vintage brooches. You guys know I love accessories, I love handbags, and I love brooches. So this is a great brand for me and for you guys to discover. I love chatting with her all about how she started this business even without a fashion background, and some of the dreams and goals she has for it in the future. Before we get into this week's new episode, though, a few little housekeeping things. The first being that November 12th, we are doing a virtual Camp Preppy. So I had lots of requests for Camp Preppy, and as promised, we are going to be doing some overnight Camp Preppies, but that will be next year. So for this year, we are doing a virtual topiary class with Cotton and Quill. We're going to learn how to make seasonal topiaries. Your ticket includes a form and some basic things that you need to get started, and of course a little treat from me for the Preppy podcast. So it's a great way to connect with other Preppy listeners, to learn a new skill and hobby, and get ready for the holiday season and entertaining. This year I will be doing my entertaining series between Thanksgiving and Christmas, where I'll be focusing on an interview with a brand or a person or an author that entertains, cooks, creates cocktails, creates a product for hosting and entertaining. So this, I think, is the perfect way to kick off the holiday season and that series. So you can find tickets and information on the Preppy Podcast Instagram, as well as thepreppypodcast.com. All right, let's get into it. All right. So why don't you first let everyone know who you are, where you live, and what you do?
Hi, I'm Cassie Kelly from Charleston, West Virginia. I had designed a handbag collection that are clutches with interchangeable adornments on the front. Super excited about it. There's not really anything quite like it on the market. So I was looking for something fun, fashion forward, and just something that made women feel very sophisticated, but yet was very preppy and fun at the same time.
I love that. And so you're in the other Charleston, not Charleston, South Carolina, Charleston, West
I
Virginia.
am.
Have
Yep,
you
the other
always
part.
been from there, or where'd you grow up? Like, what was your childhood like?
So I grew up, I don't know if people are familiar with the Mothman movie, but I grew up in the town where that's from. We have lots of things Mothman there. That's in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I grew up a little bit south of there in a small town called Galpless Ferry. So yeah, I grew up in a family. There was nobody really into fashion quite like me, other than a great aunt that I have who's
Oh,
unfortunately passed. But I will say I had a neighbor who she's still living. She's 103 years old,
wow.
and yeah, and I would go to her house literally when I was like 3 and 4 years old, a toddler, and young, and would go over and I liked dolls, but never really played with dolls a lot. I was always interested in like adult conversations, accessories, purses, makeup, shoes, all that stuff. And she had a jewelry box that had all kinds of antique brooches and just earrings and things like that. And so, no matter how many times I would go over every week or every few days every week, whatever, I would go over and she would always have that out for me, and I would play in that. And so I
Oh,
never got tired of it. I always loved it. And so throughout the years, I've collected some brooches, and every time I would see brooches in like antique stores or anywhere, I always thought of her. And
oh,
so yeah, I've always loved fashion. I think if you were to go back even to my high school days when I was really young, people would say, "Oh yeah, she's always loved clothes and shoes and all that." So it's just been a passion of mine. Even though I never really felt like I could afford to just go into the industry because everybody tells you got to be a school teacher, you got to be a nurse or whatever, and so
mhm.
I go into healthcare, and it's been a fantastic career. But my heart was always in fashion, and so
Yeah.
anyhow, about 50, I've been thinking about it for about 15 years, literally,
Wow.
and just decided that. Now's the time. So I started on it about 2.5 years ago. I have actually was in the process thinking about it, working on a prototype and all, and kind of had some personal things happen and just kind of put it on hold. And then I had a cousin that passed away suddenly in an accident in her
Mm,
40s. And I was like, I need to really continue to pursue this and get this out there.
yeah,
And so it's part of what drove me.
definitely. Well, it sounds like you've always had, an interest in fashion and always appreciated good style and accessories. So tell me a little bit about then, like, first of all, why handbags? Why did you zone in on that as what you wanted to pursue your fashion industry design business with?
So, about 2.5, 3 years ago, there was a handbag that I fell in love with, and it had this beautiful red bow on it. And I was like, if I could take that off and change it with, I could carry that year round. I love the bag, but it was going to be able to only use it for a very short period of time, like the holidays.
Yeah.
So that inspired me to create a handbag. And I've always loved a clutch handbag. There's tons of handbags out there, but there's something about, no matter if I have jeans on or if I have a dress suit on or I have an evening gown, when I carry a clutch handbag, I just feel different. It's just
Yeah.
a different, it just elevates your look, your style. So it gave me the idea then, if I could take that off and change that out, I could use this handbag, year round. And the handbag was
Mhm.
pretty expensive. So at that point, I started talking to a dear neighbor of mine who I absolutely love. And I started just going through my closet. I would look at things that she had. She had an antique pin from her grandmother. And I had some pins in my own collection as well. And I just started putting things together. And at that point, started just doing some internet researching, reaching out to people on Instagram. I've done a lot of, reaching out, contacting folks because I really didn't know where to start. I have
Mhm.
no experience, in the fashion industry. And so it took me several months to just kind of get an idea of where to even begin and to get a
Yeah.
prototype. But that's where it all started, was literally with that handbag.
Wow, I agree though. There's something about a clutch that I think is so elevated and it's versatile and it just looks nice and sharp because sometimes you get a bag and it's so bulky and or it's not filled enough and then it's kind of just droopy. A clutch is just so elevated and nice. So tell me a little bit about the process then of, looking in your closet, looking in your neighbor's closet, having the idea of wanting to clutch, wanting it to be interchangeable, to finding those manufacturers then to get it done. Was it something you're just Googling and trial and error? Did you get lucky on the first try? Like, what was that search process like?
Yeah, so yeah, once I got everything together, I got the measurements together, I got everything together that I knew I wanted to do. I mean, and done all of my research. I did start just basically Googling and finding different companies that offer doing prototypes and things like that. I will tell you, I went through several. I had several conversations. I even had I'd done one prototype and liked the material, but just did not love the bag. And so I was
Mm,
struggling inside because it wasn't perfect for me. So I went back and changed up some of the measurements, changed up the width. I knew that I wanted a clutch bag that you could carry several things in.
mm,
So once I finally, I fine tuned that after the first prototype. So then I knew I wasn't going to go with that company. So I started working again on trying to find someone else. And so again, had, several meetings, done several prototypes with, I think it was a total of like 4 companies.
wow.
And finally, I ran onto a gentleman who I just really, really liked. He had a lot of experience in the industry.
Mhm.
He had had some things on HSN himself.
Oh, wow.
He just had wonderful, wonderful experience. And we immediately connected when we talked, and I built this trust and rapport with him. And I found him online. And it was all trial and error. I will say, I had reached out to an individual on Instagram who I love her company, and she's like me. I think she just started out small. She's just an individual in Nashville doing her thing. She's an artist, and she was just great. Gave me some pointers. So yeah, it's just basically you just keep asking and asking until you get to the right spot.
Yeah.
or right
So
person, maybe I should say.
yeah, the right spot, the right person, it all comes together, right? So then tell me a little bit about what this debut collection is, like what you launched with. I know you have three styles and a bunch of different adornments. So can you walk us through that, like narrowing down on what these three styles to launch with would look like and what those adornments would be like? What was that thought process and ideas and inspiration behind that?
Sure. So yes, I started with three handbags. So I'll start with so the manufacturer sent me like all kinds of adornments and all kinds of potential adornments and fabrics that I could choose and hardware. So I wanted some higher end fabrics. I wanted some heavier hardware. So literally everything, all of this samples were sent to me, and I picked out each individual piece that I wanted. Like I want this fabric, this hardware. And then as far as the adornments, I did not end up going with anything that they shared with me. I wanted to do my own. So they are literally from my own personal collections of things that I
Yeah.
have. And so I got with the manufacturer, and we actually had molds made. So I had to have
Wow.
molds, yeah, to duplicate those or replicate. But so then I started thinking I wanted to, do bags that were going to be able to, because I'm starting out small. This is solely on me. I don't have any
Mhm.
investors, and still work a full-time job in my healthcare career. So I was like, I'm going to start out with three colors that I feel that would give people, a sense of the different fabrics and options and the hardware. And so I started out with a nude color, and
Mm.
I have a niece who absolutely loves anything nude. So I named the nude bag Brie after her. So each bag is named after a person that's special to me.
Oh.
And then the hot pink bag, which is just probably my favorite in color. I wanted a pop of color, something fun. And so I named it the Zoe bag. And that name comes from a special little girl from Helena, Montana, who is the daughter of one of my very best friends.
Oh.
And then, yes, and then the black leather bag. Everybody always loves a black classic bag, and obviously that's a year-round bag. And so Zoe has a little sister, Chloe, and so I named it the Chloe bag. So that's the start.
Okay.
And as I do bags and colors, I will definitely name them after special people in my life that remind me of them, and it's usually like their favorite color or something that represents them.
Yes, I think that's the perfect colors to launch with because you have, like you said, your fun pop of color. You have can't go wrong with a black bag, and then a neutral for the girls who might be a little bit scared of color, or maybe you're wearing, something colorful like I am today, and you need something to ground you. But tell me a little bit more then about the molds because your adornments. I mean, I just know creating molds from working with jewelry brands on my PR business that's a whole other process, right? And it costs more to do. And so, a what was that process like, and how are they kind of made then in that process for people who aren't as familiar? And B, tell me about those adornments then, because they're from your personal collection. Like, what do they look like, and where do they come from, basically?
So as far as the mold, yeah. So basically, you have to, I had to do all of the measurements and videos. You basically send the adornment with them, and you
Mhm.
send a tech pack. You
Mm.
basically get all of your measurements and everything together. And you are correct; those are an additional cost.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you basically just have I would send the adornment and the tech pack together
Mhm.
because some of them I adjusted in size. Maybe they were a little bit
Okay.
smaller or a little bit bigger, and I wanted them to kind of be like what I would consider the perfect size and look symmetrical on the bag. I didn't want it to be
Mm-hmm.
too small. I mean, too small, too large.
Big. Yeah.
So so anyhow, that's kind of the basics of that, and then that's sent off to the manufacturer, and then they make the molds there, and then they send photos, and I have to approve those, and then they would send samples back, and again, I've had to have some adjustments done, with that. So again, that's the second part of the process. So this can take a long time, just because you're not only trying to get the bag perfect, you're trying to get the adornments perfect as
Mm-hmm.
well. But so as far as some of the adornments, they were all. off of like antique pieces. A couple that I'd gotten in antique stores during some of my travels. One I know come from the state of Washington years ago
Oh,
because I had loved it and ordered it, and I'd gotten it from like an estate, kind of sell place.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so they just come from different places. Like I said, I would love to know some of the stories behind them or who owned them or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, they just came out of my personal collection.
I love that though, that they came out of your personal collection and clearly you were drawn to them and collected them. So I think that's so wonderful. And those adornments make the bags even more unique then because they're, one of a kind. You had the molds made and everything. So yeah.
I do want to say also, I have lots of plans for adornments from the future for the holidays, different adornments to represent the different holidays. Just not there yet because, like I said, I'm literally brand new and just want to see how this goes. But I am also working with a local artist here in Charleston. She is a young gal who is going to be, she's working with me to actually draw some unique designs, and just they'll be special to Lucy Jane. They won't be out there on the market anywhere. So we're putting tech packs together. And so they will be, special designs, which I'm super excited about because not
Oh,
only am I from West Virginia, so is the artist going to be.
yeah. I love that. Those are going to be so special. I feel like for any holiday, people love dressing up and accessorizing and really leaning into the festivities. So I think that that's going to be amazing. Now, tell me a little bit about, I know you're still new and just started, but how initially did you get the word out? Working with some influencers, the social media, building a website, obviously. Tell me a little bit about, going from now having these products in hand to be able to sell them to approaching and getting them to customers.
Yeah, sure. So yes, I found a lovely young lady here who is a new graduate. She's only been out of college a couple of years, so she knows all the things about social media. And so I worked with her, and I found her through an individual here in Charleston that's been a big supporter of mine. So I found her and started working with her to, put together the website. And then I also hired a local photographer here, and I looked at, gave her some examples of websites that I liked, and I tried to, give her my vision of what I wanted it to look like. I wanted it to be very classy, sophisticated, and easy to use. I didn't want it to be cluttered. I wanted a very clean website. And so we worked probably a couple of months just perfecting that. And then my photographer here is wonderful. She does a great job, and I think that's probably, if I had any recommendation out there of anybody putting something together, I think your photos are just
Yeah.
so important to your website, and having something clean looking. And I wanted it to be simple and easy to navigate. I didn't want people to
Mhm.
get frustrated or to look. I'm just very much on a classic, sophisticated style.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted my website to be. And so yeah, that's basically how it came to be. And then she, started putting together an Instagram page. So we started with
Mhm.
that, and started working with influencers. And
Mhm.
we found that can be difficult. When you're new and getting started, people don't know whether to trust you. They don't know whether to trust your
Mhm.
brand. They don't know the quality of your bags.
Mhm.
And sometimes that makes it hard, out here in this virtual world, because I feel like when people actually see the bag and have it in their hand, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've heard you talk about this bag, but I had no idea."
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that makes it a little difficult being more virtual. However, wanted to say too, we are on Facebook.
Mhm.
We're on Pinterest, and proud to say we've started out on TikTok, and we've had amazing success with TikTok.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, and so it's fun. It's funny because I'm not a, I've never been a Facebooker, or I'm not a person that likes to be out there in the limelight a lot. But I said I've had to get used to it, and it's getting kind of fun. So, I'm just going with it, and just trying to get the word out there. And so we're getting some really good momentum behind us. We've had a couple of great influencers recently that's helped us out, and I can't be more appreciative, because it's going to be the folks out there getting the word out for me. And
Mhm.
I'm so appreciative of the people who've already purchased bags, and I'm just looking so forward to at some point, meeting new customers and people across the country. We've sold in Montana and Texas and Florida, and so we're getting the word out there. It's just we're doing all avenues, honestly.
Yep.
There's just trying to tap into everything that we can.
Definitely. And I think a point you mentioned is having good photography. In today's world, you really need it, right? Because not only for your website, but for social media, for press, for literally everything, imagery is so important to a brand. So that's a really good tip. But any other tips that you would share with someone who is just getting started to maybe, or maybe hasn't pulled the trigger to get started yet, but wants to someday launch their own thing? Like, what's your number one tip you'd suggest?
Probably my number one tip is to just get started.
Yeah.
Quit thinking about it and just get started. I have a dear friend and neighbor who's been wanting to write a book for a long time, and I've been saying to her, just do it. And so I've been working with her, and she started writing. And I think that's the number one thing. I think that so many people have these ideas and they're so scared, and I totally get that. And
Hmm.
especially if you don't have someone, backing you like myself. I'm literally working and my job, and paying for this as I go. I don't have a husband, infusing money into it, or a father or anybody. It's all on me.
Hmm.
So I think just literally getting started is the most important thing. And do your research and just don't give up. Keep asking. There are some people who have said to me, "Oh, I want to help you with this. I want to help you with that. Just let me know." And when you reach back out, they ignore you. So don't let, people are usually very gung ho to help until
Hmm.
they'll tell you that, and sometimes until you really need the help. So I say never give up. Just get started. And just because you might get a no here or get silence here, but there's always another person, just like myself.
Hmm.
I would be thrilled to help somebody out there
Oh, I love
that's
that.
trying to get started. So it's all about just finding people who are willing to network with you.
Yep, I think that's great advice. And it's something I talk about a lot on this podcast, because it's one thing to have an idea, but it's another thing to actually follow through with it and put yourself out there and do all the work leading up to. And I feel like there's so many stories of people being like, oh, I thought of that idea, but they didn't launch it. And then it's the successful business. And it's like, well, doing it is the majority of it, right?
It really is. I mean, yeah, it really is. It's just getting started. And there was a thing that I read. It said that basically, this has been months ago. It said, don't worry about having everything perfect. Your website might not be perfect. You might just be sitting here with your laptop and whatever. And whatever you're wanting to do, just get started. You can
Hmm.
always figure it out as you go. Nobody starts out perfect.
Yeah.
I even see that with myself. I look at the bags and I think, oh, I wish I'd have done this, or maybe I should have done this color. And you just got to get started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, 1,000%. So which is your favorite of your bags and which adornment with it? Maybe for someone listening who's going to go and check out your website and they're curious, like where to start, what would you suggest?
Yeah. Well, obviously I put them together, so I love them all, Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
probably my favorite is the just my personal taste. I tend to like fun things. Like I said, your podcast, Preppy podcast, was perfect for me because I tend to like that preppy style.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the hot pink, the Zoe bag.
Yeah.
I love a pop of color. I think it's fun, and I love the bow adornment. That's the
Mm-hmm.
iridescent bow. I don't know. It's just very glamorous to me. I think it kind of looks Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I just love it. It's my favorite.
No, that's a good one. Then who would be your dream customer if you could have anyone wear your handbags, like a celebrity or a big influencer or royal or anyone, who would be your dream customer?
Oh gosh. Well, if I can, I have more than one.
Sure, go for it.
First of all, I would start with probably Jennifer Garner. She's here from Charleston, West Virginia. I think she's beautiful. She represents our state so well,
Mhm.
and she's just a big supporter of West Virginia. So I would probably pick her. And I've
Mhm.
also met her niece, Emma, who's also absolutely lovely and has been a great supporter of my bag. Um, and of course, if I could go outside of the United States, I would probably pick Princess Kate because she represents my style so much.
Yep.
But yes, as far as the United States, hands down, Jennifer, just because she's a West Virginia girl, and like I
Mhm.
said, she makes us proud of our state because she represents us so well.
She really does. I feel like she just is so fun and real, but also, elegant and beautiful. And I think she's a great person to pick.
Yeah, she came into a local restaurant, and the owner shared with me how down to earth she was. She came in, she didn't have to be all dressed up. She was just very down to earth. Offered a photo, and so my stepfather actually met her several years ago and
Wow,
said the same thing. So yeah.
that's amazing. So, since this is the Preppy podcast, I always ask everyone, what does Preppy mean to you? So, how would you describe Preppy?
Preppy to me, I always think of it as a very classy
Mm.
yet sophisticated, fun. It's to me it's a style that's to me Peppery kind of like never goes out of style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just very very classic. That's my vision of preppy, and everybody's got a different idea. I've never been one who really goes with just what's on trend. I think
Mm-hmm.
preppy is kind of just always on trend.
Yeah.
So that's why I tend to like the preppy style and that's what that means to me. So.
Definitely. That's a great answer. So you gave a piece of advice a little bit ago, but I'm curious, what's a resource that you'd share with listeners? Like, is there another podcast you love, or a great book you've read, or a conference you've attended, or newsletter you subscribe to? What's a resource that other people could check out, and it might help them or inspire them?
Oh gosh, another resource. That's a little bit of a difficult question. um, we might have to re-record this part.
No, you're good. Or like, is there someone you follow on Instagram that is really inspiring, or gives great tips or advice? Sometimes people say like their local chamber of commerce, like, or a local networking group, or a great book that they've read, or a group they're part of.
Yeah, well, and I would have to get the name of the book for you. I may have to get up and get that. There is a book that I read that was very inspiring for me,
Mhm.
and it was written by Kate Spade's partner, her college.
Oh yeah. Um, we're Yes, Elise Aarons, and the book is called "We're Gonna Make It After All," right?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yeah.
And so when I read that, it was very inspiring to me because I read about how they started, and they were just college girls, and I could relate to so many things in the book. And
Mhm.
so that was a very inspiring resource for me because it really solidified for me that everybody starts somewhere, no matter who you are. Not everybody has a famous parent that helps them
Mhm.
get started. There are people like myself who literally start out in the basement of their home or their
Mhm.
garage.
Mhm.
So it was very, very inspiring for me. And I think too, I don't have one specific resource, but I am big on, reading. I follow a lot of inspirational folks on
Mhm.
Instagram. And sometimes I try to do those daily readings just to keep myself motivated.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things, probably one of the biggest piece of advice that I would say is, it's just being patient and not giving up, and always thinking about, drawing on any resource that you can, because you
Mhm.
never know. You never know
Mhm.
who you're going to meet or who you're going to talk to that's knows someone. Or so yeah, I would have to say just never giving up for sure, and always just whatever you can find that keeps you positive every day. If it's reading something in the Bible, if it's reading something on
Yeah.
Instagram, whatever you can find that gives you that inspiration to keep going, just I recommend doing that.
Definitely. And I think that goes into even having routines. I find myself, if I am ever feeling like down or in a rut, it's normally because I'm out of a routine. And so for me, that routine is I have a journal. I think it's, what's it called? the 5-minute journal or something like that. It's an easy journal. It has little prompts, and you put basically every day what you're looking forward to, what you're grateful for, and a little sentence about motivation for the day. And then later in the evening, you write in it and reflect upon the day and also put what you're grateful for. And I love doing that because I feel like it makes you slow down and think about everything. And sometimes things aren't as bad as, they might have seemed at first when you're taking it in and looking at the big picture, or forcing to find, the little bits of light when you're feeling stuck or in a rut. Or even I have a great book. I think it's called A Year of Positive Thinking. And each day gives you like a little quote or a little mini story. It's literally like a sentence or like a small paragraph each day. And it's for each day of the year. And I find that also to be a great resource. So I think, like you're saying, whether it's reading a Bible or reading a little inspirational quote on Instagram, all of that's so helpful and kind of like a routine as well.
Yeah, I have a calendar at my desk. I have a home office. I do work from home, and I have a calendar at my desk that each day you just flip it over, and
Yep.
exactly what you said, it's got a quote on it every
Mm-hmm.
day. And so I do that when I go in to sign in every morning on my laptop. I flip that over and I read. That's the first thing I do. So
Yep.
yes, I'm with you. And I even do that sometimes on the weekends. I'll
I
flip it
love it.
over and read it just to keep myself on track.
Yes, yes, for sure. What are some other brands or businesses that you also love that pair so well with Lucy Jane, with your handbags that you love to support or wear with yours?
So let's see. You're talking. Well, I love Emily McCarthy. I think she
Okay.
has lovely, lovely clothes. I love
Mm-hmm.
all of her things. I think they're tend to be preppy, and I love all of her colors and styles. That's probably one of my favorites that I can
Yeah.
think of right offhand. I do love Frances Valentine. She's
Yeah.
got some great things out there. I just bought a beautiful jacket from her
Oh,
recently, from that brand. So those are two that I really, really like. Um,
those are
I
great
even have
ones.
fun with Lily Pulitzer when
Mm-hmm.
I even like some of their, I like their style. And so, and I think my pink bag especially goes very well with her style.
Yes, 1,000%. And Emily has actually been on the podcast, I think, twice before. So
Okay.
people can go and listen to her story. And I've recently read the Elise Aarons from Kate Spade and Frances Valentine's book as well. And it's a good one. So definitely check that out if you're listening. Um, so anything else that you're working on? Any sneak peeks? We talked a little bit about how you're working with an artist to come up with some more adornments in the future and possibly leaning into different holidays. Anything else though that you want to plug coming up for the holidays, or shopping or trunk shows or anything?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I'm super excited. I am doing a trunk show here at a local boutique in the area. So I'm super excited about that. It's Charlie Boutique on Bridge here in Charleston, West Virginia. The owner, Chrissy, there has been a huge supporter. So super excited to be working with her in a couple of weeks. Also, some other boutiques in the area. I'm working on getting some trunk shows scheduled. I will say one of the things that I'm super excited about, I'm working on is a bride bag. So I've had a lot of people come to me and say, I would love to have a really nice, good leather white bride bag. It just can't be
Mm-hmm.
found. And so I have created a sample that's the white leather, and it's got bride in the like a crystal adornment that says bride on the front, so they can take that off. And then carry it, after they're married and after the wedding, they can put a different adornment on it and still use that bag. And so it's a kind of like an heirloom that they can hand down. So I'm working on getting that out there. That's the biggest thing I'm excited about as far as the next bag that's coming
Yeah.
out.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be so perfect. So, final question is, where can people find you? Let them know your social media, your website, all of that, so that they can support you, they can shop your products and learn more.
Sure. Yes. So you can find us. Our website is shoplucyjane.com.
Mhm.
And then as far as out on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok, you can look for us under Lucy Jane label.
Perfect. Well, this was such a pleasure. I loved having you on the Preppy podcast. So, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been great, and I appreciate all of the support out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Preppy Podcast. I hope this put a little prep in your step for the day. Please subscribe, rate, and review on wherever you listen to your podcast, and follow along with @the Preppy Podcast on social media.